If you've been with your partner for 10, 15, 20 years or more, and your partner is asking you to break up or to divorce, and you're wondering why right now? We had a great relationship, we have loving kids, why right now, out of nowhere, it doesn't make sense? It makes sense if you know the stages of development. This is what I'm going to explain in this video, explaining that in different stages in our life, we perceive the relationship as something that prevents us from developing, growing, and perhaps you're simply the collateral damage of this situation. Let me explain this after the jingle.
igetmyexback.com. Everyone deserves a second chance.
So first of all, we need to accept that changing is part of life. The person you are right now is different than the person you were 20 years ago, and the person your partner was different than the person he or she is right now. And so our needs evolve, right? Our interests might change, we grow, we learn. And the thing is, when we break up, it's the idea of self-growth. We talk about personal development, but not relationship development, which is something I'm developing at the moment. And I'm writing a book on the subject. In some cases, we can feel, I've changed, but my partner hasn't. My needs evolved, but my partner is still there, right? And I don't want the same things. And it seems that the relationship, this old thing, is not what I want for me in my life right now. And we assume, because it's an assumption, it's the thing you need to convince your partner, you need to change potentially, we assume that my partner cannot meet those needs. I want new things. My partner is part of the old world, the thing that I'm rejecting now. And I don't want to be with that person because it reminds me of this old life that I reject right now. And so we often have this clash between the self-growth and the relationship, and when it happens, you're simply a collateral damage of this phenomenon. So if I look at Alison Armstrong theory, we have 4 stages: the youth, the early adulthood, full adulthood, and mature adulthood. I'm going to only cover the last 2 because I believe that my approach, my strategies work more better for people who have had like long relationship, and most of my clients are 30 plus. So it's important to understand the expectation of the opposite sex. So I usually don't do a lot of videos gender-based, but in order to have a framework, and maybe we can open a debate and have your input on this, I will give this framework of Alison Armstrong. It's going to be a lot of information, and for this video there will be a handout, a little guide for you to reflect on everything that I'll describe in this video, and perhaps ask questions or ask things about yourself. If you're a client of mine, we can use this guide to structure our conversation, whether you're in touch with me on WhatsApp or whether we have one-to-one calls. But it's important to have this perspective. It's potentially, I know doing this that it's over-generalistic, but I think it could give some insights anyway. Let me know. So men versus women. Even when I said it, I feel bad about that, but it's true that sometimes we can say men are different than women. I think it's fine. Full adulthood is men are striving for achievement, for legacy, what they are building, right? Women is more about balancing family, how we can take care and nurture. It's also about self-expression. In mature adulthood, men are more about reflecting on life's accomplishments. I've built this big business, now I want to sell it, I want to do something else, and mentoring, how I can help my peers, my family, my kids. Women, again, nurturing others and explore fulfillment. So maybe another stage in their career, another stage in their life where they want to be more self-fulfilled. Let's discuss about full adulthood. Reasons to clash during full adulthood. So the thing is really about, we are in that situation where you are 40 years old, reevaluating life choices and relationship satisfaction. It is when you feel, I know we've been together for 10 years, for 15 years, and sometimes we reflect, we are either together on the weekend, we are away on holidays or on a business trip, and we reflect on our relationship or discussing with our friends. And we sometimes feel that this relationship is hindering personal and professional growth, right? We feel like, I wish I had more time for that. I wish I could do this, but because of my wife, because of my husband, I can't, right? And so sometimes we experience a midlife crisis or life reorientation. And so we want this relationship to realign more closely with those long-term aspirations that have changed, right? Because when you're 45, it's different than when you're 25. When your kids are 15, or 10 or 15, your life is different and your expectations are different. And so the types of breakup in that stage of life is, first of all, the career-focused breakup, where you change job, where you have a big promotion, where it's really pressuring the relationship. Another type of breakup is the growth and change. So this is very frequent, unfortunately, is when you have a relationship that has been okay for 10, 15 years, you haven't really worked on the relationship, and you wake up one day realizing, I'm just a flatmate. This person, I'm sharing my space, my house, we're sharing the same bed, we have kids together, but in a way, we are kind of flatmate. I don't have any more intimacy, emotional or sexual intimacy with that person. And when it happens for many years, at some stage, one of the two will realize, that's not what I want, that's not a relationship, right? Another one type of breakup is when you desire a different lifestyle. So it's about, I want to live in the countryside, I want to stay in the city, I want to travel more. And so there's going to be conflict, clashes of how we want our lifestyle to be. Last one, infidelity or trust issues. So infidelity or trust issues is very similar to the growth and change. Is as we are growing apart slowly and surely, sometimes something will trigger one of the partner to have feelings for someone, to sort of start building intimacy with someone else, to cling to another relationship. Or, because we feel we can't connect with our spouse, we keep things secret. So not necessarily about cheating, but having sort of a secret life because we feel we're not connected anymore. When we talk about mature adulthood, and the stages, you will recognize yourself. Some people will feel like they are in the mature adulthood before. Some people feel in the full adulthood later. It's just for you to give you an idea. So Uclash, mature adulthood is around self-fulfillment. So focusing on personal passions. After you thought like for example, if I look at women who, for example, took a lot of, spent a lot of time with their kids at home. Now the kids are grown-ups. Is how I can, finally do what I want. The emptiness syndrome. This is I have a lot of clients in that case. Is when your kids are leaving your house and you have to redefine the relationship, your parenting. First of all, your parenting needs. But also your couple, because your kids are not here around, and I think having kids, it takes a lot of our time, it takes a lot of our attention. When you're on a date with your spouse, usually you speak a lot about, school, the errands with kids, the Christmas show that's coming up, etc., etc. When the kids are grown-ups, it's true that you have also to redefine this new relationship. Shared interests. So again, when you retire, when you have more time for you, is about how can you redefine passion. I had a client a few months ago. Her husband was really into cycling and she wasn't, and so they grew apart because he felt like, I want to be with my buddies cycling every single day for the rest of my life, and she would be like staying at home waiting for him. It didn't work out. Addressing personal issues. So again, perhaps because many years of things that weren't discussed, weren't assessed, where you feel like, I'm staying for the kids. And one day you wake up and you feel like, I want to be in line with what really matters, with my personal values, and that's what matters for me right now in this stage of life. So, the types of breakup in that stage is the post-child rearing revelations. It's reassessing the relationship after children leave home, as I discussed before. Health challenges, so it could be about also taking care of your parents, because when you're 50 years old, your parents are 80 years old, and usually this is when we need to take care of them. So it really put a lot of pressure on the relationship. Another very important one is when you have retirement goals that are different. Because again, as I said, one is really into cycling, the other one is more about like traveling, and it clashes because they can't necessarily do the same things. And also self-discover. So it's again, I felt I wasn't myself in this marriage. I wasn't myself in this relationship. And right now, because the kids are gone, I can finally express myself. And my partner is preventing me from expressing my needs, expressing what I really want in life. And this is my time to be finally free. And that happens very often. Let me know in the comment section, because again, it's not a scientific thing. I think the work from Alison Armstrong, it's very interesting work, but it's not scientific. There's not like studies telling you this and that, but it's, I think, quite accurate. And if I look around me, if I look at my clients, I think we can see a lot of truth and a lot of relevance here. So let me know in the comment section if you recognize any of these situations, and I think let's use these threads to have sort of a debate or chat on this, and I will also reply if you have any questions on the subject. So now let's talk about how we can fix that, how we can realign, because again, as we discussed, we grow apart and we feel like this person, it's not that I don't know this person anymore, it's just like I've changed and this person is preventing me from really achieving my new passion, my new goal, my new interest. First of all is understand the stage conflict. So look back at those slides to get the guide, download the guide, which will be free, to look at and analyze your situation. And understand that you have to acknowledge the impact on the stages on your partner's needs and also on your personal needs. It's normal to have needs that are evolving, and very often the clash is because as one will retire and the other one will still work, for instance. And so that creates an imbalance where the one who's retired feels a little bit resentful, or could be resentful on both sides, because the one who works has kind of the FOMO, the fear of missing out, because he has a lot of time, she has a lot of time on her own, while the other one feels like, he's like, I want to do things, but I can't because he or she's working. So there's a lot of things, assessing where you are, assessing the needs, because if you map out this, it's going to be easier to have a plan of action to really understand whether it could work and to really sort of position yourself and communicate yourself in a way that you will be realigning yourself with that person. So first, the second thing is about self-reflection, obviously. Contemplate your own life stages and understand what you truly want. So when you are in the process of a divorce or a breakup, very often we are focused on, no, I want this person back. I really want you to force yourself to think outside of this obsession about getting back with your ex or getting back with your husband or wife. What do you really want right now? In your life stage, what do you want to achieve? And as part of this vision, will your husband, wife, ex-husband, ex-husband, would that person be part of this new vision? Right? It's important because it's something you need to reassess regularly. As I said, I'm not the same person I was when I was 25. I will probably have different needs, different expectations when I'll be 55. Third one is about communication, obviously. And that's where I spend most of my time with my clients when they're in that stage of recovery, is how we can communicate with them clearly that we are not preventing them from achieving their goals. That yes, the relationship was not necessarily a satisfying relationship at that stage, but we have the resources, the energy, the resources to make it change. And so it's about introducing those life stages and be clear and honest about what you both need from the relationship. It's very important to have that open conversation and use it as we're not enemies. It's not me against you. It's like we are transitioning to a new phase. Our life is changing. How can we, together as a team, collaborate and find a way that would work for both of us? And so we come to the compromise, obviously. Try to assess what you're willing to compromise. So obviously, when you are the dumpy, you always want to compromise more. Okay? It's very important to really set your boundaries, really set your expectations. Usually, if you do it the right way, it's like two circles. You need to find that overlap. Sometimes those circles, they don't overlap, and it makes sense for you to break up. It makes sense for you to stay apart. And that could be the option. And that could be the option that will make you more fulfilled and have a better life than being in a relationship or being with someone who can't really meet your needs, who can't really be in line with what you want to achieve. Right now, the perception of your partner, the perception of your ex is that those circles, yes, they are too much apart and nothing can bring them back together. So again, it's really about having that conversation, open conversation. So depending on whether there's resentment, depending whether they're open to communicate, but you have to bring yourself, and it takes sometimes weeks or months to get in a state of mind where you can discuss both of you in a mature way, because you're adults, because you have a history together, and because you both deserve to have a conversation, mature conversation on what do we want, what do we need in our life. Fifth one is about reevaluating the relationship and consider the positive aspect, the negative aspect, depending on your life stages. And again, decide whether this relationship will support or hinder your personal journey. Again, when we are the dumpy, we fail to recognize what do we really want. So it's important to assess this first and realize that, okay, actually I've changed as well. And my needs have changed. And I don't feel my partner can meet those needs either. Or maybe I'm making this assumption and I need to check. I need to have a conversation. It's really about collaborating effort. Sixth one is consider the change. Look at the factors that led to the breakup. Look at things that have changed. Maybe it's the kids, maybe it's your job, maybe it's your parents being ill. And consider whether, for instance, your kids left home. Okay, that's permanent. They're not going to get back. So how can you readapt? Maybe you have a smaller house. Maybe you need to move to the city center. Maybe you need to move to the countryside. Maybe it's other things. Maybe you've changed jobs, but then you will have to readapt for a couple of years and then things will resettle normally. So really important to assess this and check whether those changes will be resolved, will end up in conflict, whether it's something that will reoccur again and again. And finally, it's about creating a new relationship dynamic. That's my job, is how I can convince your partner that their perception of the relationship, which potentially for them wasn't great, and if you're realistic, if you're really transparent with yourself, was not great either for you. That was an okay relationship. And you felt like, it's okay, so it's good enough, right? Right now it's about, okay, how can I say we weren't amazing together, but now I want to make it change. I want to invest in this relationship. Yes, it's a bit bad that we neglected each other. Maybe we took each other for granted for 10, 15, 20 years. But it's not because we've done that for 10, 15, 20 years that we have to stay like this. We can change and we can work on those things. And it would be a pity because we have each other. And growing apart doesn't make sense. It would be more enjoyable to have each other at this stage in our life. So it's about discussing new ways of interacting, new patterns, new behaviors that will foster mutual growth. So again, this idea of personal growth is outside of the relationship. I want you to develop a sense of relationship growth. And what you have to assess is starting, if you have a breakup, and I think breakups can be very healthy when you go through those stages, because it's about how we can sort of reflect on the relationship and we would value that person more. Because with that time apart, with that distance apart, it's going to be very hard for your partner to readjust. It's going to be very hard as well for them to be angry or resentful. And when you reconnect, it's about, let's reconnect as if we were 20 anymore. Let's have a date, let's do things exciting, let's do some first times. A lot of studies have shown that people enjoy first times. So when you go on holidays, it's not about people enjoy the holiday. The peak of the holidays is the first 2 days, I think, because it's when you have your first time at the beach, first time with your cocktail, first time in your room. And when we are in a relationship for 10, 15, 20 years, we don't do any first times. So it's important for you to perceive this relationship as like, I want to seduce that person the same way we seduce each other when we met for the first time 20 years ago. So it's important to have this period of test because you'll have to change, you'll have to readjust, things will be different, and doing it as a team. And once you've evaluated the trial period, it's just to make a decision. Is it working or not? Are we sure that those circles are not overlapping? And also if they overlap, is the surface big enough? Because if we feel that, we see each other once a week and that's not really what I want, it's really about assessing those things and be really honest, because sometimes, even though my job is to help you get it back with your ex, sometimes divorce can be the best option. If you have any questions and if you want to let me know your perception, your stages, etc., don't hesitate to comment. Have a look on the description. I will leave the link to download the guide. Any other question, let me know in the comment section. There's also a link to book a call if you have any questions on your situation. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.